If fat loss feels harder the more disciplined you become, this video is for you. Not for the people who struggle to start, but for the people who never stop trying. The ones who tighten things up, who push through, who think, I just need to be better. Because at some point, trying harder doesn't help. It quietly becomes a thing that's holding fat loss back. And most people never realize when they cross that line. And this doesn't usually happen to people who are inconsistent. It happens to people who are disciplined, people who track their food, don't skip workouts, push through the fatigue, pride themselves on consistency. They don't quit when things stall. They escalate. They think, I'll just clean this up a little more. I'll tighten things up. I'll be more strict. And that mindset feels responsible, mature, committed. But that's exactly where the trap starts. Believe me, I've been there. I've done that so many times. And then I finally figured it out. Here's how it usually plays out. Fat loss slows down, so you eat a little less, thinking, fewer calories, so I'm still burning the same amount, eat a little less. Well, that doesn't work, so then you add on more cardio. Well, that feels harder, so you remove the flexibility. Then you start skipping meals, training through fatigue, ignoring hunger cues, avoiding rest days. Not because you're extreme, but because you're trying to be good. Each step feels logical on its own, but stacked together, they create a system the body experiences as pressure. And pressure changes how fat loss works. This is the part nobody talks about. So for disciplined people, effort isn't just a strategy. It's a part of identity. Being good feels safe. Being strict feels in control. Letting up feels irresponsible. So when fat loss stalls, easing up doesn't feel like an option. It feels like failure. And that creates a dangerous loop. Fat loss slows, discipline increases, stress rises. Fat loss resists, discipline tightens up. At this point, fat loss isn't just a goal. It's tied to self-worth, and the body can feel that. Here's the part that's hard to hear, but very important. The body doesn't respond to effort the way the mind does. It responds to environmental signals. And constant pressure sends one clear signal. Resources are limited. Stay cautious. So the body adapts by conserving energy, increasing hunger, lowering output, protecting the fat stores. Not as punishment, not as rebellion, but as protection. This is why people say, the harder I try, the worse it seems to get. They're not wrong. At this stage, people usually double down on control. They micromanage food. They eliminate problem foods. They make the rules tighter. They remove margin. But the control is stressful. And stress, even productive looking stress, it changes how the body uses energy. Fat loss is not unlocked by precision alone. It's unlocked when the body believes it can't afford to let go. Control removes that belief. Here's the paradox. The more disciplined you are, the harder it can be to recognize when discipline stops serving you. And this was where I really struggled, was trying to understand where that balance can be found. Because discipline worked before, so it feels wrong to question what worked. But fat loss doesn't stall because discipline is bad. It stalls because discipline without recovery becomes pressure. And pressure eventually shuts the door fat loss needs open. This is why the most disciplined people often feel the most stuck. Fat loss restarts when the escalation stops. Not when effort disappears, but when pressure does. That usually means eating enough to lower stress signals, prioritizing protein over restriction, training with intention instead of punishment. And I know a lot of us may say, oh, it's not punishment, I love exercising, all that. When you're pushing yourself harder than you really need to be doing. That is what the body can interpret as punishment. So, training with intention instead of with punishment, allowing recovery to count, and loosening identity around being strict. It's okay to ease up a little bit. This isn't about doing less forever. It's about doing what signals safety instead of threat. That's when the body finally stops pushing back. So if fat loss feels harder the more disciplined you become, it's not because you're weak, it's not because you lack willpower, and it's not because you failed. It's because effort crossed the line and the body responded the only way it knows how. Fat loss doesn't need more force. It needs different conditions. And once you understand that, you stop fighting your body and start working with it.